Why do I have over 1200 hours in Le Mans Ultimate, more than 1300 hours in ACC, but only a fraction in other sim racing titles? It isn't because they have most car or the best graphics. For me, a sim racing title has to do something much more important. It has to keep giving me problems to solve. I'm not talking about fixing bugs or get my VR headset to work. I'm talking about in-game problems. Lap time, competing, racing, get the better setup. My name is Arnold. I've been sim racing for years, running my own car setup shop, and I've spent thousands of hours driving, testing, building setups across different sims. So in this video, I'm going to take the sims that I've played in the last years, rank them to the things that actually matter to me. And you can use this video to make your own assessment why you keep playing, why you stick to certain sims and others not. And if you're completely new to sim racing, this could also help you to which sim racing title you want to invest your precious time in. Let's go. If you're already playing a sim that you like, you're having good races, you know the cars, you've learned the physics, you've invested hundreds of hours into it, what would actually make me leave and start investing my time into a new sim? And the first answer is pretty simple. Curiosity. We are drawn to new things, and a new sim racing title gives us a chance to drive other cars and other interpretation of the real world. It's going to explain why I bought Assetto Corsa Evo when I'm trying Project Motor Racing, and it's why I went back to spend more time with Le Mans Ultimate. Now, I made a massive list judging certain characters what I think is important. So let's go to the first feature a sim racing title absolutely needs to nail before it's worth my time. This list will also piss off some people. I'm sorry in advance, this is how I feel about it. Open your mind and see what happens. The last feature in this list is actually the most important. If you're ever going to take a sim racing title seriously, this needs to feel right. If within the first few hours of a sim, weird stuff keeps happening, I'm going to give up very, very quickly. But there's one little caveat here. You need to give a new simulation a little bit of time. Don't neglect it within that first 30 minutes. After 5 or 8 hours, then you can actually assess and say, you know what? Great sim, not for me. Or not a great sim at all, not for me. Give it a chance. At least you can give it a chance. I also think that driving under the limit should be relatively easy. I'm driving GT3 80% of the time, and if I would like be driving slowly and I would fight for my life every corner, then that doesn't make a lot of sense. So it should become difficult when I start exploring the limits of the car. I need to understand why the car loses grip, why I rotated, why I made a mistake, most importantly, and what I could have done differently. But there's an other side that is also super important, and those are the exploits. If the fastest way of driving requires a certain type of something ridiculous because you've discovered a weakness in the tire model of physics, then that's also a problem for me. And I understand this must be incredibly difficult to simulate, but you're trying to recreate something unbelievably complex with mathematics, computing power, thousands of sim races, then spending millions of laps trying to find the edges of your simulation. Sure, there will always be like quirks or little things the sim does, but if those quirks become the fastest way to drive in the car, the simulation starts teaching you how to exploit the simulation instead of how you drive the car. If a sim racing title is worth my time, it needs to absolutely connect with the physics and score points here, because if it doesn't connect with you, the driving, it's pretty pointless to go to all of these sections. Now, I will piss people off by giving iRacing a 6.5, but please let me explain. And it's the rear load transfer. When I hit the gas, it's very hard to make the car stick on the rear. And also the way of driving the car, I'm not allowed to drive or steer the car. I need to do everything with my pedals, and for me this is a big turn off. If I abuse some steering, or I want to like throw the car in a little bit, or like get the feeling that I'm actively working the car, that's just not happening in iRacing. I need to be way too careful. And for a physics perspective, it's hard for me to connect with this. And that's why it's giving a 6.5. I'm sorry if I'm pissing people off here, but this is just how I feel. Then we go to the other metrics. The 6.0 for AMS. 2, the car's floaty, they slip angle too much. It's too easy at times. It really feels not really like the driving. On Project Motor Racing, I don't know, it's like the recent session I did with Aris, there's a video on the channel. I really liked the setup stuff and the physics on GT4s. Now with the current patch 2.2, there's VR. Some things don't real connected to me, but the pace of development over there, again, there's a star here to kind of like a disclaimer. I do think Evo is better than Assetto Corsa Competizione. I think Le Mans and Evo are very close to me as purely physics-wise. Again, this is also under development. You can have good force feedback while still having like a hard time with the physics of the simulation itself. I have this with iRacing. I never thought that iRacing is a like bad force feedback. I thought it was fine. Some things do really make sense. And that's the thing for me with force feedback. It's like I don't obsess over it, really. I just accept the simulation as it giving me the force feedback. With my wheelbase, I will try a few settings and I'm pretty much stick with that. Sure, you wanna feel bumps, you wanna feel the alignment of your wheels, like being forced in a certain direction, and you wanna feel some, like maybe some small vibrations, or when the tire starts going over the limit. And I don't know, there's such a wide variety on how that can feel or how that should feel. It's the most subjective thing ever. So let's go to the list. I think there are some people that surely will disagree with me. That's fine. Please let me know in the comments. Enlighten me, because I love the comments. I generally believe people like the force feedback in Competizione is absolutely a little bit deaf, right? And the force feedback in Le Mans Ultimate is for me kind of borderline. But in a way, I kind of treat them like the beautiful women in our world. They all have something beautiful, and they might have things that are not that beautiful. I think just accept them as they are. There are new like apps. The FFB app like gives you options. They are improving this. Also on the Project Motor Racing, in the latest patch got a little bit better. I recently, for the purpose of this video, did some testing with AMS, and I thought the force feedback was fine. But again, there are different people that have better opinions, better like research on the force feedback. So take this also a little bit with a grain of salt. One thing to note though, why Evo is highest, is the load weighty feeling in slow corner sections. Because you might think that in a slow corner, you should not feel the weight. But and it's the same goes for Competizione, that the low cornering weight of the wheel and the downforce feel of the wheel, I think they do it very well, and it's very important for me. This is not what I'm having in Le Mans Ultimate, and I also don't really feel it in iRacing, and I don't feel it anywhere else. So also Project Motor Racing, I kind of felt it in the GT4s. A lot of this could change, and it also accounts for Evo, and also accounts for maybe other sims, who knows. This is one of the main reasons I drive simulations. I want to gain knowledge about a car, understand it, tweak it, and eventually learn how to mold and bend the car towards what I need from it. But more importantly, it in a way that it's still bound to the car. I don't want to turn a Porsche into a BMW. Different cars have different strengths, weaknesses, characteristics that I have to work around. But within those boundaries, I want the setup to give me control. If I'm constantly losing the rear of the car, I want to be able to engineer somewhat of behavior out of it. Maybe I move brake bias, maybe change differentials, stiffen the suspension, change aerodynamics. Maybe I'll sacrifice some rotation for stability, but there should be multiple engineering solutions based on the real life with their own compromises for every car. This is probably one of my biggest advantages in all my races. I go so deep into car setups that I take the engineering part and I can always give myself a very strong car. And this is what I truly enjoy. This is where my whole business and sim racing channel is all about, really. Competizione gave me that, and Le Mans Ultimate gives me that, and I think that with Aris on the wheel of Project Motor Racing could give me that. I put a question mark on AMS because I did try this like almost a year ago. I don't know how it is now. Later I will explain why I'm not really sticking to AMS, but I think it should be in here. Randy? So what does this mean? Well, it gives me control on how I want the car to act out the way it does. And this is where I think, and again, this might piss people off, or it's not really true for maybe some classes, but the tire model and the physics model of iRacing is so dominant over setup changes. I can completely make the car understeery from every parameter if you look up the information from real life, and it will still lose the rear on cold tires. And I just think that, I just don't like that, man. I want to have to, basically what it means for me is that the setup has not enough influence on how I drive the car. Now, Competizione was actually a great sim and I learned a lot from it, but it's only getting a 6.5 because there are metas. They meta of these dampers and you want the aerodynamics are favoring the setups a lot of times. And you end up with a very exploited type of setting up cars. Now, it's hard to say if this will happen in Evo. It will be hard to say in every other sim, but I think it's very well made in Le Mans Ultimate. I can really make oversteering cars predictable, but without sacrificing the pace. But there are also multiple ways of setting them up. In my store, I actually created a lot of B levels because it's just, I can do different approaches here, and like, this is what it's really great. So, and I actually have a complete setup shops. For most of them are for Le Mans Ultimate and Assetto Corsa Competizione skill level setups. So think about it like this. You have a level 1. It's almost impossible to die. And on level 5, you got that pointy car with all the settings in there for every track. And you can just basically pick a car that is based on aggression. 1 being safe, 5 being super aggressive. So you'll always have a car that fits your needs and your driving style. Check the link in the description. Hundreds and hundreds of people using them. Netcode and racing quality and matchmaking. So you open the sim, find a session, get in a car, compete online. The shortest route to do this wins. And Le Mans Ultimate is very strong at this at the moment. And iRacing thrives at this as well in certain classes, I believe. There are thousands of people playing it, and I think many of them are there because I generally have a great connection with the sim. The first 2 points of this list, the physics, the force feedback, maybe the setup. But that's not what this next rating is about. It is about the connection. Do you bounce off other cars? Or can you go wheel to wheel for 3 laps, have some contact, touch each other, and like being able to have the confidence to actually do that.
Felt that one through the monitor.
Because once you're racing at a decent level, a massive part of GTG racing is wheel to wheel. If a simulation can't do this, I'm out. And this is important for my scores. iRacing can be fantastic at getting me into these competitive races, but once I'm there, oh, it's still like, I don't really, I mean, the cars are just like, sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. Some people might claim, yeah, it's a lot better now, but I did a few races a couple of months ago. It wasn't better, man. It was like, if you compared it to Le Mans Ultimate, it isn't good. So as for Netcode, I'm not giving, it's gonna get better for iRacing. Yeah, don't worry, iRacing people, it's gonna get better now after this. But yeah, Le Mans Ultimate, I put a star here because the latest update, we actually saw like a lot of clips from other people. I get lucky because I have this like mega like glass fiber internet, like it's pretty insane. So I got lucky, but I've seen a lot of videos and clips of people like bouncing off each other weirdly with the latest update. Please, I kind of hope they're gonna fix that. Assetto Corsa, you could also have some contact, but you could also lose control very easily. It was it was decent. It was kind of decent when I played it for the time that I did. But for the others, I just don't know. I did saw last year when they brought out some patches for AMS2 that like it was really weird in AMS2 as well. And yeah, for Evo currently and Project Motor Racing, I just don't know how it is now. Please let me know in the comments, guys. What do you think? 99% of my sim racing time is in VR. If there's no VR, there's no way I'm playing it. And let me know in the comments, guys, if you feel the same way, because we are getting with more and more people. The VR army in the sim racing space is going to expand and expand and expand. So we're becoming more important for all titles. If a sim is worth my time, I need the good VR performance. I need the frame rates. I need enough VR customization, heads-up display options, lock to horizon, resolution settings. And I'm kind of like waiting for sims to adopt quad views or eye tracking support. And this is where iRacing actually is really good. They actually have the proper working eye tracking, which they really, and the VR in iRacing is good. And also with weaker system, you could definitely do iRacing very, very well. VR isn't some weird experimental feature anymore. If you're building a serious racing simulation, VR support should be a part of it. And that's also count for graphics in general. We're in 2026. Maybe we don't need the photorealistic, but that flat look that some sims have are just not acceptable anymore. I mean, that's kind of a non-negotiable now, right? Now I gotta put another star here for Le Mans Ultimate. I'm really happy with the VR performance and how it looks. And if you have a strong system, then you can definitely get some real beauty out of the VR and the performance. But at the time of recording, they broke OpenXR again with the anti-cheat. And oh my god, that's also going to be on this part, quality of life, later in the video. Okay, good. Again, iRacing, very well on the VR part. Competizione, you could get a decent image. You need a very strong system. Every time you'll have a frame drop for no reason. I think the VR in the latest patch of Assetto Corsa Evo actually got a lot better. I'm only giving it a 7.5 because, yeah, like I have this monster system and people that don't have a monster system might still struggle, especially when resolutions get higher. On Project Motor Racing, it works now, but there's something like there's a lot of features still missing. So to give this a proper number, it's really hard for me at the moment. And yes, Automobilista 2. I just had a run, like yesterday I had a couple of runs. Friend of mine told me, dude, you need to add Automobilista to this list. And Formula driving, certain Formula cars, I mean, if any sim could get to this level of VR, oh my god. PIMAX have been supporting my channel. A lot of people have used the free buyer guide in the description to make a purchase. A lot of people have used that code, and the reason why I can make these videos and make all this content is because people actually using that code. So I'm forever in your debt, sir. Check out the link in the description if you want to get interested in going VR, because it's the future, mate. More isn't necessarily better, but there needs to be enough. And maybe even more important, I need to believe there's more coming. New cars, new tracks, new classes, updates. Something that gives me a reason to come back and try something new. And I think the real reason ACC died is because of this. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with Assetto Corsa Competizione. The sim works, the cars are there, the tracks are there, but that's it. No updates, no new content, no maintenance. And later, when we get to problems to solve chapter, we'll explain why it matters so much for the long-term enjoyment. Because eventually you run out of things to discover. Stuff you can do in iRacing is huge. The stuff you can do in Automobilista is huge. Also, I think over here we get some decent points. Evo, there's a lot of variety. Game is not finished. And Competizione, like the reason, yeah, there's enough content, yes, but it will die off, I think, eventually. And there we have Le Mans Ultimate's actually not that great, but a little bit of a note here that the depth is really high, and once they start saying that they were gonna add 4 more tracks to it, now I'm actually giving this a decent score, because previously I thought there were not enough tracks, but I still think they should add a lot more. But as for content-wise, yeah, we are limited with GT3s, Hypers, and LMP cars, but I think that the depth of the content is absolutely great. This number will only get higher in the future, I believe. So these are the things that really only start to stand out once you exceed 100 hours or more. And I think it's probably one of the hardest things to get right, and it's also kind of personal, while also being one of the least important things at the beginning. First, the driving needs to stick, the physics, the racing, the matchmaking, but once you're over 100 hours, the small things start adding up. Why do I have to adjust my fuel every single time before I go into the pit? Why does my RPM counter on my rear view camera, and why can't I change it? Why is something that I use all the time hidden in 3 menus? Why are basic force feedback settings so difficult to adjust? Why is my pedal not working? And the list goes on and on and on. None of these things would make me stop playing a great sim on their own, but you repeat them hundreds of times, and suddenly these tiny annoyances become really annoying and become friction. And Le Mans Ultimate is a perfect example of this. Right now, I love the simulation, 1300 hours, but recent updates have actually pushed this to an irritating level. The VR in the current patch, oh my god, don't get me started. Liveries not showing, netcode creating issues, things breaking that previously worked. I'm going to be pretty bold here. If Le Mans Ultimate will fail in the long run, it's because of this. Because all the little frustrations keep adding up. All the bugs, all things that doesn't really make sense. You see this setup thing here? Well, we're still here, yeah, the previous like 10 minutes. Let's move it. So that brings me of quality of life. And I think quality of life is an interesting one, because the more you play a certain simulation, the more irritating things get. Yeah, I get decent irritations here for like the bugs and all the inconvenience that I have to deal with a lot of times. Liveries not showing and like a little things, you know, not like devastating for the sim, but they do get annoying over time. I also found this in iRacing, like loading times, not being able to change stuff without the VR. I also have to keep my headset up in the setup screens. Also the UI, I don't know, it's like a little bit painful. It isn't really... for Competizione, I didn't really think there was a lot of stuff wrong with this. Also, there was no way to display the menus without VR while you were in VR, so... but then overall, I think these numbers will drop as more as you play it. I give Automobilista a low value here. I had a hard time changing the heads-up display, but it's also super difficult to set up your wheelbase, or at least my Moza wheelbase was absolutely a pain to set up. You're really concerned about this, then I think you need to figure out for yourself what you think is quality of life in a way. But yeah, Le Mans Ultimate loses because of all the bugs and inconsistencies and these updates. And don't get me started. My father-in-law always says, it better be very expensive than not available. There's one sim racing title that takes this like as a religion, and that's iRacing. Everything is available and it comes at a massive cost. And this might be a very unpopular opinion, but price is a weird thing in sim racing. On the one hand, we sim race. We have expensive gear, mega PCs, expensive wheels, pedals, headsets, sim rigs. And these companies that provide us these equipment is built on just a few racing sims. We need to thank the racing sims for it. But once those sims actually charge money for what they're building, a lot of people complain. You know, everyone needs to eat, everyone needs to pay their bills, and everyone needs financial support. And I actually really like the subscription model in Le Mans Ultimate, because if I'm playing it a lot, then it's pro subscription of $17. I think is very good priced for the certainty that I have on the sim, that they keep developing and they keep working on it, and they can keep doing that because they are financially fit, because I want them to keep progressing, developing and building on what they already have. Sure, you can demand that we pay one price, buy one game and that's it, but gaming and simulation have changed. They have become 10 times more complicated, and people are working on them and they need to be paid. And sure, if you're financially tight and you can't really afford it, I get it. I lived in poverty for 10 to 15 years. For what poverty in the Netherlands means. I get it can get even worse, but I couldn't do this 15 years ago if it was there. I didn't even have a console, nothing. Well, I'm saying 15, but I'm almost 40 years old, so it's kind of long, 25 years ago we lived in poverty. When I was a teenager, let's stick at that. So yeah, I like this idea. And I actually think that it's getting more convenient to just get the subscription when you're actively playing it, and when you don't actively play it, you just get rid of it. There's this idea of owning content and owning stuff. I'll leave that opinion in the middle. As for iRacing, I think the price is absolutely horrendous. Doing a season, buying tracks, buying cars, you need to buy everything, plus the subscription. I don't think that is a problem if it would score higher on these parts for me. This is why, this doesn't make sense for this on my side. I don't accept this. Especially the visuals, not the necessarily VR performance, but the visuals. It's just, my friend Ringelberg always says, I need to install Windows XP when I do iRacing and pay this enormous price for it. Please, iRacing people, if you enjoy iRacing, you can afford it. I'm not here to say, but it's just, this value proposition is just completely insane. I think you can get a lot of Steam sales, Assetto Corsa Competizione. I think currently Evo, the price and what you can do, I think it's very high, but I don't know what's gonna happen in the future with DLCs and stuff. I think Project Motor Racing absolutely is low, for the simple reason you buy the full game and it's very heavy under development, still not finished, so this number would improve over time. I think when you get every DLC from Automobilista, there's so much content, it's pretty wild for what you're getting. Now we go to the juicy part of this video, problems to solve. This is about enjoyment. What does this actually mean? Sim racing, and really almost anything we choose to do in life, is about solving problems. We humans are problem-solving machines. I think a huge part of enjoyment comes from voluntarily giving ourselves problems to solve that we don't immediately know how to solve them. So think about sim racing. Nobody forces us to become faster. Nobody cares if I can get a GT3 2 towns quicker around Spa, but it's a great problem to solve. And I've chosen that problem. And now I want to solve it. And maybe I need to change my braking. Maybe I need to understand the setup better. Maybe I need to change the differential. And that just is the part of the fun, isn't it? And when you finally solve one problem, there are new problems for you to unlock. And that feels good because you created a new problem. Now I'm faster. Now I'm racing faster people. Now my braking isn't good enough anymore and I need to improve that. And now my tire management needs to improve. And now I have solved that tire management. Now I have other problems to solve. And this is what sim racing is for me. It's a constant web of self-generated problems that I can solve, and that's enjoyable. And that gives me the satisfaction and enjoyment. So that's what I mean, problems to solve. And I think a lot of people agree with me, especially on my Ultimate iRacing and maybe some other titles. But as for the online competition and the competitiveness of it, this is just what keeps getting us back. And this is why single player is also a big deal for some people, because they want some other person create these problems for you to solve, which is also fine. Not everyone is the same. So I think on Lama Ultimate it's very high because I can always find another hypercar, tune another hypercar, or change an LMP, or just get better at GT3. And when they add more tracks, we keep getting into this thing. And we can, for instantly run competitions. And it's same as a football competition or real life racing. There's always a new race. There's always a new problem to solve. For me, after thousands of hours, after 1,000 hours of Assetto Corsa, this kind of starts lowering because I kind of think I solved a lot of these problems, or things just get boring. Things are a certain way and we cannot change them anymore. And also for Evo and Project Motor Racing and AMS, I don't really know, like, I don't play these sims because I don't know, I don't really have a thing for this yet. There's not enough problems for me to solve there yet. So for instance, if you really want to experience a gazillion tracks and just enjoy experience of driving different cars and cockpits and stuff, then you can definitely get a lot of time here. But for me, I'm coming at this with a more of a competitive perspective. That's what's really ticks the boxes for me. So to hammer this point home and thinking about what is worth my time, physics is a non-negotiable, and I think for Streetback is very directly related to this. Then the car setup theory, the tuning of these cars to make them to your liking, make them faster, or make you have more confidence and have the freedom to change it, is really high in my opinion. Netcode, I mean, that's absolutely important for online racing. And the VR, I mean, if you have a simulation that can tackle all of these things, then I will invest my precious time into that simulation. Despite the price, despite maybe a lack of content or quality of life. That will automatically give me lots of problems to solve and gives me the enjoyment. So for me, that's Le Mans Ultimate at the time of recording. And I kind of hope that other sims will start competing harder on them. And I will also hope that maybe another sim will be added to this list that we can take really seriously in the sim racing space. Now, there are other sims, obviously, that I didn't mention, but I have such a limited time in these ones, or let's say Race Room, I didn't even play it. It's just because I just don't have more time, man. These videos, the setup shop and all that stuff, it just takes so much time. It's just my attention is just, there's almost so much that I can do. So this is basically my idea how I think about it. If you like this content and you like this video, you're gonna love that one, because that one is comparing Le Mans Ultimate to Assetto Corsa Evo and why Le Mans Ultimate should be worried. They should be. I still really think that Evo can eat up Le Mans Ultimate. Maybe. Click it. It's a good video. Come on. Do it. Thanks for watching.